Hi, welcome to Burgeoning the Podcast. I'm your host, Leah J. Today's episode focuses a lot on isolation, so here's some reflection points for you all. 1. Not knowing is okay. It is totally okay. And God is going to be there in those seasons of isolation, those seasons where you simply don't know. Lean not on your own understanding, but on the fact that God is showing up and He will do a new thing in your life. He's going to take you from wherever you are and propel you to where you need to be. So trust in that. The next point is that your surroundings are important. Your surroundings should take care of you. And if they are not serving you, then it may be time, it may really be time for you to reassess and move a little bit. I hope that you enjoy the show. I'll catch you at the end. Welcome back to another episode of Virgin in the Podcast. I am your host, Leah J. And I am here with an old friend with new moves. Yes, she is killing the scene. I want y'all to pause the show right now and go into the details and just look at her social media real quick so you'll know how fabulous she is. Like, she is a traveling model based out of Charleston. Sis has walked in New York Fashion Week, okay? She is in commercials. She does it all. Her name is Miss Adriana Hall, and I'm going to let her take it away.
Hey guys, hi everybody who's listening. Leah, thank you for having me to be a part of this. I am just super excited to be here and just have this conversation and share this space with you.
Yes, I am so excited that you're here on the show. You shared with me that this past September you lost your job. So I was wondering, how are you doing now and how was that for you?
Honestly, I feel like that was kind of the beginning of me really like kind of buckling down and putting like some focus on what I actually am meant to be doing.
Uh-huh.
But at the time it was rough, like in this economy. like
Child, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it was rough. Like, honestly, when it was happening, I was thinking, like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. Like, I had just like transitioned into this job in January. It wasn't supposed to end this quickly or like this, but like God had other plans for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm grateful it happened, even though I couldn't see that at the time, but it was necessary, you know?
Yeah. It's crazy. I quit my job in September of last year. Quit
Yeah.
without a
Whoa,
without
snap.
a plan.
Oh my God, how was that?
Girl, it was hard. It was hard. I was
Mm-hmm.
mad. I was like, Lord, how you got me quitting a job and I don't got a job? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a job. Like you said, the economy is terrible. Job market is horrible. I'm like, what are you gonna have me do? I
Mm-hmm.
left Charleston, moved to live with my sister in Aiken for a little while. I had gotten into a car accident, so I didn't have a car. Yes, like it was
Oh.
bad. It was bad. It was like balloon after balloon, but I ended up moving to San
Mm-hmm.
Diego and um helping my sister in her transition to move back over to the East Coast. So it
Mm-hmm.
all worked out. We're here now. But I definitely empathize with you about like that uncertainty. Like, it's hard, right?
It really is. Like, you don't know which direction to go. You're just trying different stuff out to see what's gonna stick. And the whole time, like, God's like, wait a minute, just watch this. It's a really, really kind of rough predicament to be in, like that feeling of uncertainty, not knowing what to do next, and just feeling like, dang, like, God, did you forget about me for a second? Like, I'm down here struggling. Do you
Mm,
not see me?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I called it my Job season because Job
Mhm.
lost everything and he was so uncertain, like
Mhm.
he was mad. Um,
Mhm.
but God didn't forget about us, right? We're flourishing now. So tell me about the point in which your burgeoning began. Like, where do you pinpoint it? Was it September or was it before?
I can honestly say it probably started sometime in college. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I was doing a lot of stuff that I like wasn't meant to do. Like, girl, you were around me. You know, I was out here like drinking when I shouldn't have, smoking when I shouldn't have. You know, you already know what it like was like in CFC's environment to begin with. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing all these things that don't align. I'm not getting the results I want, obviously, because I'm not like focusing in on what really matters. So
Mm-hmm.
like even after I graduated, I'm like finding myself in jobs that I hate, or I'm finding myself in relationships that aren't necessarily healthy. Like I'm just
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of stuff, and I'm thinking in the back of my head, I know this ain't what I'm supposed to be doing. I know this isn't my plan. But when this past September rolled around and I feel like I kind of had a tower moment and everything crumbled at once, that's when I kind of had no choice
Mm-hmm.
but to kind of look at some of the choices I was making, and also looking forward, like, what can I do better? Because this obviously is not it.
Right.
Like,
Right.
yeah. Yeah, it kind of was like for me, like, it was kind of like God kind of forced me to sit down and listen. And like in that season, like even though it's only been like a month or two, like I literally was in isolation for about 2 months. Like, of
Yeah.
course, I was out here working and doing stuff, but I literally was zeroed in on myself and just rebuilding my relationship with God. Because I can admit, like, even when I was doing things that weren't in my best interest, that relationship was definitely faltering. And it shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have gotten
Mm-hmm.
to that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it is. Like, we are so distracted so distracted with the hustle and bustle of the world, and like being so
Mm-hmm.
locked in on the things that are pulling us literally from our purpose or from the path that we really want to walk on,
Mm-hmm.
or we don't even know is there for us because we're so drowned in, like,
Mm-hmm.
that relationship with God feels severed. It feels like, dang, I'm so lost, and where are you, God? But like we
Mm-hmm.
say, like we said earlier, like, he was there, he's there. It's just
Mm-hmm.
up to us to like find that. What moment was it in, like, what was that like in your isolation season to like meet
Kind
God again?
meeting him again was great. I will say, prior to me like getting comfortable with even like talking to him and telling him everything that was on my heart, like getting even being angry, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm,
it was a little lonely at first. After a while, like I just started feeling more free, more self assured. Like, oh no, I don't really need to vent to these people like about all my business. I can just talk to God about it, you know? Yeah, it's kind of gotten to that point. Like I literally like I'll be walking around the house now and like something to be on my heart, and I'm like, God, listen here, let me tell you something. And like I have a conversation with him like he's an old friend, you know?
right, right.
Yeah. It's really good to like be like I guess rebuilding that relationship and like kind of coming into that connection on my own, especially as like someone in their late 20s.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
it's like a feeling I can't even describe, and I'm sure you can relate to it as well.
Girl, absolutely. When you said that conversation like an old friend, we be locked in. We be talking like when when you actually hopped on earlier. I don't know if you noticed, my eyes was closed and I was kind of just
Hmm.
like lean back, slump. I was praying. Yeah, I was praying, and you kind of startled me. I was like, okay, God, I got it. Amen. Hold on, real quick. We're gonna come back to the conversation, but amen. Let
No, I feel that. Like I was like, did I interrupt something? I thought you were taking a nap or something, girl. But I get it completely.
No, girl, it was just a prayer. It was a prayer. I try not to say
Hmm.
little prayers anymore
Hmm.
because all prayers are big prayers. Like, all
Hmm.
prayers, little, quick or long, they are in some way big prayers as long as we're walking out our faith, right? And
Hmm.
I think that in those seasons of isolation, when we are having those conversations that just feel like I'm talking to my homie, like,
Hmm.
those are where you become intimate with God, you know?
Hmm.
And that
I couldn't agree
intimacy
more.
builds, yeah, that intimacy builds that trust. And it's like he says, it starts to build feelings in this relationship that words can't even contain. Contain. Yeah,
Hmm.
so I definitely relate to that. How has that building gave you like confidence in your art? Because I think modeling isn't it an art for you?
Absolutely. That's my favorite creative outlet. Like I do other stuff, but like
Hmm.
modeling is that thing that kind of just gets me up in the morning. It makes me feel alive. I will say, like, just by building back my relationship with God, like, it kind of reignited that fire for me. Because, you know, when you're down bad, you got so many things different in front of you. It's really hard to focus on what really, really matters. Like, you're worried about bills, you're worried about how you're going to get to point A from point B. Like, just so much stuff that, like, essentially God is just like, this is already taken care of. Like, this is my plan for you, you know? Like, and I wasn't focusing on it. And so, like, now that, like, God and I have, like, a better relationship and I'm making sure I'm including him in all my decisions and everything, I feel this, like, power that I've never felt before.
Yes.
And I just want to keep working with it.
Yes. Do you feel like the opportunities that have come to you now that you've included God are opportunities from God?
Absolutely. And it kind of feels like they're more aligned with what I was meant to be doing. Because I would be doing stuff here and there, and I'd be like, I don't know if I'm necessarily comfortable with this, or just doing little stuff just to kind of just say that I'm, like, still modeling, I'm still active. But, like, everything just has kind of come together in a way that even if it's not from God, I have that discernment now to know, like, hey, I don't need to be a part of this, you know?
You are preaching. You are touching on so many points, and I really do want us to, like, get into that discernment part
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's so necessary, right? Like,
First of all, I would believe that discernment is a gift overall. But, like, just being in the industry that I'm in, whether it's like the modeling or even when it comes to my corporate position, having that discernment to kind of know what opportunities I should take on, or what people, like, are actually meaning me well, versus, like, trying to take advantage or get something out of me. Like, all that, like, is so important, because, like, people can present themselves one way, and then, like, you get in with them, you get closer to them, and you end up drained, and you end up being like that person that you just, like,
girl,
you just got over, you know what I'm saying? Like, you end up kind of reverting, and I hate regression. Like, especially if it's, like, bad regression, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, you felt that one?
I felt that way. In episode 1, I talked about, like, my fear of regression. Regression is, I just don't want to be her. Like, I just don't want to be her again. And sometimes we get to a point where it's like, okay, we're growing, but it's a little slower this time. Like, it's not as rapid. But to go down, I can't be Leah with the anxiety no more. Like, I can't be Leah with the insecurities. Like, I don't want to be her.
Girl, you speaking. You are speaking, because I feel that so much.
Like, that's such a dark space that, like, I feel like I've been delivered from, and it's almost an insult to God to say I'm just gonna go back to everything that you've delivered me from. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Like, but that's so beautiful. Like, that honestly warms my heart hearing that for you, though. No more anxiety, no more insecurities. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're living and, like, showing up as your truest self. Girl, I can even see the glow. It is beautiful.
Thank you. No, same. Every time I see you post, whether it's your model stuff or just you in your life, like, I'm always like, dang, I'm so happy for her. Like, you look so good. We bonded in a time that it was dark for both of us, you know, where anxiety and depression were, like, something that we bonded and connected over. So to be able to sit down and meet you again in this light is so warming to see you and just flourishing. Like, that's what I said to you when I approached you about this. I'm like, I see you flourishing, and I really want to talk to you about it because I'm so proud of you. Like, I am. It's so beautiful. Girl, you're gonna make me cry. You're gonna make me cry on this episode. I be trying not to cry, but, you know, I'm a little water bucket. So
Same here, girl.
I purposely be wearing mascara, and my mascara, it doesn't seem to be waterproof. I don't know where they tested this thing at, but it be burning my eyes a little bit, so I really cannot cry. I be like, oh God, keep it.
No, I feel that.
No, but you said discernment is a gift.
It is.
Babes, it is. It is. And without it,
Mm-hmm.
people will use and abuse you like run through. And
Because people can tell.
yes, people can tell. People can tell. And there are people who won't take advantage. They'll try to give you game, but those are God sent people. But then
Mm-hmm.
there are people who are not necessarily God sent who don't care, who do not care. They want you to be in a position where you are uncertain of your own beauty, your own power that you contain. Like, and they will say, okay, I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna use this, and I'm gonna use them.
Like me, like I definitely have had a problem with people pleasing in general in the past. Like I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it's oldest daughter things or like what is it? I don't know, but like my thing is like I was always people pleasing and also simultaneously wanting to keep the peace. So I would meet people like
Yes. Oh
even
my gosh. Yes. I've seen it.
like
Yeah, I've seen it.
yeah, you seen it firsthand. Like I'll meet people like and like even if it's me trying to meet them where it's at, like it's kind of me sacrificing kind of a part of myself to keep other people happy instead of
Mm.
thinking, is this a situation I need to be in? So like the lack of discernment definitely like it definitely came to bite me in the behinds a lot. Just
Mm-hmm.
friendships, especially relationships, like oh my god, like I don't even want to get into it, but like it showed up in those areas first for sure. Like and then when I realized like I was even getting into the workplace and like doing like or
Mm.
agreeing to do things that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with or like even for one of my jobs, like I knew for example they were buying cheaper products and then having to sell them to people as if like it was like worth the hundreds of dollars or everything that they were spending. Like even
Mm-hmm.
doing little stuff like that, I'm realizing, oh, this is not in alignment. You can feel when
Yeah.
when you're not using your discernment and things are not aligned. They kind of play off of each other, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I guess yeah, not having discernment, it kind of I wouldn't say it necessarily ruined my life, but it kind of put things at a full stop for me to a point where I had no choice but to pay attention. Like,
Mm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, birth your vision.
Like I
Yeah.
definitely had tunnel vision. I'm like I'm not trying to like even if I know something like necessarily wasn't in alignment or I'm not using discernment, like I was so tunnel vision at some points that like even if I knew my intuition was telling me something, it's just like girl bye anyways. I'm just doing this because this is what I have to do. And I didn't have to do
Yeah.
any of that.
Yeah. The workplace really is where you can grow discernment. Like,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, I don't like y'all. I don't know y'all. I
No,
don't know.
seriously.
I don't even know y'all for real. So how
Mm-hmm.
you gonna sit here and try to finesse me? I'm not about to be
Mm-hmm.
finessed in a place where we really don't have any connection except for the fact that I'm trying to get this check at the end of the month. Like, I mean, at the end of
Period.
the I really want daily checks. Can we please do that? Can we stop getting paid bi-weekly and do daily checks? Like, I need my money today.
No, right.
But
You need it now.
but because like you said in the beginning of my career, like I too was accepting jobs that were less I little things less value than what I wanted for myself. Like the
Mm-hmm.
check was never worth it for me not to have my
Mm-hmm.
blinders I mean my vision goggles on for the discernment. Like I had to
Mm-hmm.
God will quickly show you you need to move that too comfortable or uncomfortable things like you said, when it's outside of alignment, you feel it. You feel it in
Mm-hmm.
everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I just really don't believe that we're supposed to go to work and not like at least some of what we're doing or
Yeah,
the core values of the companies. Like finessing people is just never my thing, you know?
I agree.
And getting finessed,
That's
definitely not my thing either. Like I'm not about
period.
to getting finessed.
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Like, not only they try to finesse you out of money or making the money that you are absolutely worth, they're gonna finesse you out your spirit too. You're gonna start feeling bad. Like, you're not gonna want to get out of bed in the morning. Like, you're not gonna look forward to the day because you're thinking about that job that makes you feel terrible.
Girl. Girl, that is a point. That is a word. You know what I did to battle that? I
What'd you
started
do?
I started listening to music, like gospel
Mm-hmm.
music, prayer, worship music.
Mm-hmm.
First, I started my morning silent. This is before I actually got up earlier and started being in my word. But to just get out of that feeling of not wanting to go to work, my drive
Mm-hmm.
was already a long commute. I
Mm-hmm.
had to listen to something. I had a sermon. As soon as the worship music stopped, like I got straight into listening to a sermon.
Mm-hmm.
The way God started downloading, like the reason why you're uncomfortable here, the reason why you are never satisfied with the growth that you're doing here is because I'm calling you out of it. You'll start wanting to get up in the morning because that's your time with God, but God is going to work you until you get out. And it takes
Yep.
that obedience to move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obedience
Absolutely.
to pop out. The sermon is a gift, but acting out that discernment and obedience that's the trophy right there, right?
Agreed. Agreed. It comes
Yeah.
with a lot of discipline. Like so much discipline when it comes to building that relationship with God and like hearing what you really need to hear.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So in your burgeoning season and your flourishing season, going back to that, how
Okay.
have you seen the impacts of the glory of God on it in the world around
Honest,
you? Excuse me.
honestly,
Mhm.
like I can see it just through the relationships I'm building with people. There have been so many people that have come in, like literally, like within the past 2 months, that have like either shown me something about myself, like kind of acted as a mirror in a way. Like I've like built some healthier relationships and kind of just found people in different areas of life that like kind of have some of the same values and alignments I have, which was like kind of a problem for me because like it's not like I have terrible friends or anything, but I do have some friends who like have other activities. I'm not about to judge anybody's life, but like I have friends that kind of do stuff that I'm not necessarily in alignment with anymore. So it's kind of cool like being able to build those like kind of more like aligned relationships for one.
Mhm.
Also, in the opportunities that I'm getting are just kind of, I'm kind of seeing like he's just kind of dropping little gems on my lap at a time. It's almost feeling like he's preparing me for something, and I wasn't feeling that before.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so like it just I'm just feeling so much gratitude in this season. I'm feeling like I'm getting the opportunities that are kind of leading me to where I've always envisioned myself anyway, like
Mhm.
meeting new people, like even like building up my confidence more, getting out of the house more, trying stuff that I never would have tried. Girl, I done took a ballet dance class and I haven't danced in 10 years.
Okay, ballet dance class. How was that for you?
Girl, after the class, I was definitely walking like somebody beat me up in the alley. Like those advanced dancers at Dance Space downtown Charleston, shout out to them. They do not play; they gets down. And so when I go back, I will be taking the beginner class. But like
Girl,
even
yeah.
stuff like that, yeah, like stuff like that. I feel inspired to like try out different avenues now, just in this season. And I
Mhm.
don't think I would have done that unless I had taken some time, sat down with God, and basically been like, "Hey, what do you need me to do?"
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. That servant posture. That servant posture, because at the end of the day,
Mhm.
our lives, we have that free will. We do. We can live our lives however
Mhm.
we choose to. But choosing to live for God and saying, hey,
Mhm.
I want to be a servant to you, it'll bring all that stuff that you were just saying. And it's so amazing. Like,
Mhm.
girl, you got a glow because that's that God glow. That's that God glow.
Well, I feel it. I feel it
Yeah.
within. Literally, I feel it like coming out of me, and it's such a. I don't even know how to explain it. It's overwhelming joy.
Yes, overwhelming joy. I love that for you. I'm so excited to continue to see what God is doing and how God uses you in these next chapters of your life.
Mhm.
The new agency. Oh my gosh.
Oh, girl, you saw
Yeah,
that?
girl. Girl, do we see it?
Girl, yeah, yeah, yeah. I got signed. I started looking to get like signed by an agency last year, sometime in November. I was like, I think that was the time I really decided to buckle down and be like, okay, you really need to do something for yourself. And I heard from the agency. Well, I'm signed to 2 agencies, but I heard from the MMG. I heard from them in February, and they're like, hey, we want to fly you out for some test shoots or whatever. And I ended up going to New York like right after I walked LA Fashion Week in April of this year. And they liked me. I have a wonderful agent. I also have been getting training with I'm Next Modeling in New York City as well. So I also have an amazing model coach as well. And it's just,
this is bi-coastal, okay? She's bi-coastal.
I'm trying to be all over the map. If God will let me, I'm willing to do it.
Yes, yeah.
It just feels really good.
And God is really pulling out these small town people to do big things in the world. Orangeburg is small, girl.
Girl, I know. Believe me. Nobody knows where it is when I say it.
Girl, Orangeburg is small, and being from a small town and having such a big dream and being able to walk in it and see it not coming into fruition but being there, like that must be amazing for you.
It's amazing. It is amazing. It's still surreal. Like sometimes like I'll be thinking about stuff that I've done. I'm like, oh my God, I did do that. Like that's crazy.
Right.
Like it feels good. Like honestly, it all makes me feel like I'm doing something right, especially when I see like my parents like telling me how proud they are of me, or like my sister, telling me that. Like it makes me feel like I'm walking in my purpose when I guess it makes me feel like I'm walking in my purpose when I'm seeing that, but also like kind of knowing like where I came from, like, and I'm just trying to show the world like, hey, there's some greatness in South Carolina, period. Like there's like, girl, look at you.
Oh, thank you.
Girl, like South Carolina has a lot to say, and like honestly, I want to make sure like I use all the gift God gives me to not only just like of course I'd like to uplift myself, but I want to make sure people see what the South has to offer because we get overlooked so much.
Yes. Especially South Carolina. People only know us for cotton and what else?
Bojangles. Bojangles and cookout, child.
No, for real. For real. But you are absolutely right. There is so much in the South, so much in South Carolina that is just really, really flourishing as well. And I'm excited to be a part of it personally. Also, with your alignment, you were talking about your day job also matching in alignment with what you want to do. So, would you say that your life is just kind of all panning out now that you said I surrender?
I would say that. I'd say it's definitely panning out, but like I kind of feel like the path is kind of being laid for me, and it's kind of up to me to see what I can do with it. Like my day job is great. It's not like my final point, you know what I'm saying? But it's a great stepping stone for me to get to where I'd actually like to be, because I work for a health company now, and I do data analytics, and I would love to continue doing data analytics. But since I am a model, I kind of want to make sure I like put my love of technology and modeling and fashion together. So eventually I'd love to do e-commerce or data analytics for a fashion company, or like Vogue or something, or even if it's a makeup company or it's like something Black owned, I would love to do that. But like right now I'm learning, I'm getting everything I need on this ground level. And when it's time for me to, take the next step or get to the next chapter, I want to make sure I'm prepared for it.
Period. And the work that you're doing now just lays the foundation for everything that's to come. Oh,
Absolutely.
the greatness in this conversation. Yes. I put that on you, girl. You got this.
I appreciate it.
We need more Black women in every space, but more Black women in tech and that crossover. That's what we do. We just make everything pop a little extra,
For sure.
So my last question to you is, what have you learned? What are you still learning?
Grace is one. grace is like a big one. Not only just grace for other people, but like grace for myself as I'm on this journey, because it's not over yet, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Like just making sure I'm not too hard on myself, making sure I'm like, being kind. Like the way I've been like kind of phrasing it to other people, like I'm 26 years old, like I'm 6 in adult years. Like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna figure it out, and I got God to guide me on it. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm gonna be good regardless,
Yeah.
But definitely grace, patience for sure. Like, cause I also found myself a lot of the times kind of comparing like what my classmates were doing on their journeys, like to like where I was at, and not feeling like kind of proud of anything that I was doing necessarily, because I was always thinking, dang, I could be doing better. I could be making this amount of money. So just kind of being patient with the journey that I'm on, and knowing that like regardless, like it's gonna work out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just telling myself that all the time. Those are like two of the biggest things for me.
Yeah.
And not being, and not being too upset, like when there is a little setback as well. Like I don't want to regress any, but like if there is something that that happens to be a setback, maybe that's a sign that I need to look at something a little bit deeper instead of
Mm.
taking it out on myself,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's really wild that you said that last part, because it just feels like confirmation. I got into a little spat with some of my friends today, and
Mm,
I had been sitting there because they had called me out on something, and that's what we want our friends to do anyways. But they had
mm-hmm,
called me out on something, and I was so frustrated. But then I was like, wait, the reason why you're being called out here is because there's something that you need to examine. And the only way that you can move and really go up from here is if you take the time to really examine it. It's so important that we look at those setbacks, we look at those things that people are calling us out on, or opportunities that we may not have put in all the effort that we should have put in for, and didn't get the results. Like sometimes it is us that just needs to be like, okay, I'm gonna try this again, but I'm gonna try this with the lesson learned, you know. That's hard. That's so hard.
girl, girl, you preaching to the choir right now. Like you are spitting.
Child, it has been so good to talk to you. This has been so beautiful to see your light, to see your shine, and to hear all that you have had to say. Do you have any questions for me?
I mean, first of all, other than saying thank you for having me, I want to know what sermons you were listening to. Do you got the playlist, girl? Because I'm gonna need that.
Yes, I actually really do got the playlist. There's one
Mhm.
from, I don't know if you're familiar with Stephanie Ike from One
Mhm.
LA.
Mhm.
Girl, there's this sermon, when I tell you it changed my life, it changed my life before I even knew that it needed to be changed.
Mhm.
I knew that there was some things going on. I knew that things were getting bad. Things were pretty bad.
Mhm.
And I had been calling out to God all that year before I
Mhm.
heard this sermon. And it was, I told you, that I'm a vegetarian, and I had
Mhm.
been asking God to just radically change things in my life and show me how to do it. And
Mhm.
Stephanie was talking about really, really being obedient to your calling and
Mhm.
listening for real to what God is saying. And it I have a prayer group. We be saying God hit us upside the head with the sandal, babes.
Sandal.
It knocked me upside the head with the Jesus slipper. I swear. I listened to it 3 times in one day. That's how locked in I was on to it, because I couldn't miss what she was really saying. Like I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send it to you. And I'm gonna
Thank
also
you.
link it in the
Mhm.
episode links, because it was it was really transformative in a way that I hadn't been seeing it. You know, it was a time where I was just like, okay, well, God is doing X, Y, and Z to me, or
Mm.
just allowing the devil to do whatever. But I hadn't realized that I wasn't walking out obedience. I wasn't walking out my faith. I wasn't going into that isolation. Like I kept pulling back. I said, all that year I have been saying, I'm gonna quit drinking, I'm gonna quit drinking, I'm gonna quit drinking. While when things got hard, I'm going to go drink, waking up the next morning, can't get out of bed because I literally
Mm-hmm.
can't move because of the hangovers. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
it was really, really bad. And I had stomach issues that were causing my hangovers to be exacerbated. So not only am I hungover, now my stomach is messed up and the throw up is it's getting a little gross. It's getting a little gross up in here. But
Yeah.
it was just like I kept calling out to God, like, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna change, just deliver me from this. But it was like, you gonna change
Mm-hmm.
after I'm gonna deliver you from it, but you haven't even seen what you need to change. You haven't really. You say you was gonna stop drinking, you ain't stop drinking. You said you was gonna stop doing X, Y, and Z, you ain't stop doing X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z. You haven't been consistent in your word for real. Like, you're not going back and reading your notes. Like, it was just all of that,
Mm-hmm.
all of that, all of that. God was sending to me constantly, just like, you know what? I'm either gonna do what they talking about, or uh, I'm gonna stay in this place. So I made a
Yeah,
decision to start doing what they was talking about, because that obedience is so much better than the sacrifice of not. You know?
for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Huh. Well, do you remember like what that moment was like kind of when you decided to make that change for yourself? Was it like a tower moment or was it already like was it just like you woke up one day and was like, okay, today's the day?
Hmm, that's good, girl. It was not a tower moment. I wish I had the tower moment. I really wish it
Mhm.
was that easy for me. I
Mhm.
I do remember. Oh my gosh, this is crazy that you brought this up. Like, I remember there was a time, like, I had. I don't even want to talk about it. I can't even talk about it yet. I'm
No,
not
it'd
even
be like
ready
that.
to.
It'd be like that.
I can't even
It'd be
talk
like
about it yet
that.
because I don't have the words for it. But
Mhm.
I was in a relationship, and during this time, me and my partner, we were just at odds, and they were coming back from a trip. They were coming
Mhm.
back from the trip, and I remember cleaning the house, and I had decided, like, yes, locked in, like, I've been working with God, like, we've been really working, and when they weren't there, I was
Mhm.
better. I
Ooh.
was better in my relationship with God. I was better in my relationship with self. And I wanted to really, really miss them, but we were both trying to decide, like, are we going to quit our jobs and move out our apartments, go back home for a little while? Or are we going to, try to stay another year, keep our jobs going? We're just at this big crossroads, and that was like the theme of our relationship for this moment.
Mhm.
And I remember just not knowing. And I had been telling her, well, I'm just trusting God. I'm just trusting
Mhm.
God. And it's so funny because a part of the sermon was Stephanie Ike saying, well, I'm just out here trusting God. I'm just out here trusting God, but we wasn't really trusting God. Right. So that's part of the reason
Mhm.
why this particular sermon just hit me so hard. But
Yeah.
got into it. We got into it, and it was bad. It was bad. And I was
Mhm.
like, I had been in so much peace with God before.
Mhm.
And that's when I realized, dang, I really have to change like, all of my surroundings. I have to change my surroundings in a very radical way. And
Mhm.
if I'm going to say that I'm out here trusting God, then I'm going to say, I'm not going to just say it, excuse me. I'm going to actually walk in it. And that was that
Mhm.
moment that kind of that was transformative to me. It was me realizing that my normal didn't feel right anymore. And
That's deep.
I needed that other part, that experience that I had peeked into briefly. I wanted that every day. So I decided I'm going to chase it every day. I'm going to just chase after it. I'm going to chase after
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
Girl, that is beautiful. I'm so proud of you, Leah. For real. Girl, I am so proud of you. Like my heart, like it's like bursting with joy right now. Like that is beautiful. Like throughout, like the pain, the chaos, you was just like, you know what, God, it's you and me, and that's beautiful.
Man,
Like it takes a lot of strength too. So
yes, yes, yes. And even though that moment, you know, that, like you
yeah.
said, it takes strength, and to build strength, you have to really work on it. So
Mm-hmm.
that moment was realization, but I still had to do a lot of work. I'm still working.
Yeah.
I'm still working. I'm still
Mm-hmm.
working. But
Yeah.
going into the isolation, like you said, is just, that's really where it's at, because that's where
Mm-hmm.
you can really sit and meet God and really hear what you got to do next, what you need to get
Mm-hmm.
rid of, you know.
Hello.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been so beautiful. I don't have anything else. We've given it all. I think
We
it's been so
have.
good. So tell my followers how, well, my listeners, how they can connect with you, and if there's any projects that you want to share, feel free.
Yeah, for sure. So you guys, I am most accessible on Instagram. My Instagram handle is underscore Adri Renee. Um, I'm also on Twitter. It is Adri Renee underscore. So same thing backwards. Yeah, and I do have some awesome stuff coming up. If anybody models or if anybody is interested in modeling, the Gullah Gala, Charleston Gullah Gala is going to be taking place in January. I will be the model coach for that. I would love to see all the beautiful people coming out and showing me what they got, because even if you don't feel the most confident, I'm going to make sure you feel like a star when you walk on that stage. I can promise you
Oh,
that.
period. Period. I love that. I love you so much, girl. I
I
am.
love you too, Leah.
Oh, thank you. Well, why am I thanking you for loving me? Because that's what God tells us to do, anyways.
Girl,
So
yes.
listen, it's gonna keep growing. That's it. I do want to say that I hope this has been fruit for your burgeoning, fruit for your overflow, and that if we've done anything, is provide a little sprinkle on top to trust in God. And like Angie said, accept that you have to be patient in all of this, because patience is what's going to get you through it. I love
Mm-hmm.
y'all, but God loves you more. Thank you for listening.